This podcast contains content that may be triggering, so please practice self-care, knowing that you can stop, pause, and regulate at any point. In our description, you'll find a free resource to help you do just that, to ground throughout your listening experience. I want to welcome Dr. Kim Gadlin, who I met first many years ago when we were working together in different departments at a higher educational institution. And we just became really connected and really supportive of when, Kim started my new locks. And so there's always a special connection there. And so I'm so glad that we get to sit down together and chat. So welcome and thanks for being on Be the Bloom.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and asking me to do this. This is a great opportunity.
So for folks who don't know you out there who are listening in, I always start with inviting you to speak about what is your story, right? Because story is such a central part of why folks do what they do. And I think we need to share those more, right? So can you tell us a little bit about your story and how your story led you to the work that you do today?
Wow. Well, it's been over 4 decades that I've started this journey in dance formally, right? I would say informally since the womb, since conception, right? I've been moving, right? One of the fastest swimmers, I guess. So we'll start there. And my mom said I was dancing, around when I was a little kid. And anytime music came on, I was choreographing, I was moving around. I just can remember just hearing all types of music, which I give thanks to my family for really introducing me to the blues, to jazz, to R&B, to country music. I'm in Chicago, so we call Chicago, some people call it up south because we have a lot of people that migrated here from Mississippi and Arkansas, and different parts of the South here. So I've also been told that I do have a Southern twang. So I think a lot of my family roots are still with me as well. But been dancing since can remember not dancing. I would say that. I can't remember not wanting to hear music and be in the presence of music. So those two are deeply interwoven in my being. Like there's not one moment of the day that you won't catch me either singing, listening to music, or dancing. I'm gonna be doing one or all three, right? Which is a part of our African diasporic tradition, the music, the dance, the song, all these are intertwined. And so, I have been this person since I can remember. And now being more knowledgeable about it, that, how information is transferred through body, embodiment, and then also through oral history, through dance history, through all these different things. You say, wow, I've always been doing this. And I didn't have a name for it, but now I know that it's intercultural and cultural. So I was fortunate to grow up on the south side of Chicago in Inglewood. And on my block, it just happens that everybody was into something. If it wasn't music and dance, it was sports or theater. And a lot of the young women, young girls on my block, they were majorettes, pom-poms, cheerleaders, and they would always come and get the younger girls, myself, and be like, look what I learned today, and they would teach us a routine, bring over leotards that they couldn't fit anymore. It was just this community of giving.
Mm,
And I never really thought about it. Like, oh, this could actually become who I am in this world,
mm.
But it was such a love. I remember the high school, local high school, I was their majorette. And man, they would see me come out there with my little baton. They'd be like, and just the joy of that, it's like, wow, like that opportunity. Was I afraid? Yes. But did I want to hang with my big sisters and dance like them? Yes.
Mm,
Right. So it kind of really started my love of it's more community than it is the individual um, achievements. It's more of the community that led me to wanting to be in the dance field than it was me saying, oh, I want to be a dancer. It
mm,
was more so the love that my community showed me as a child, you know, that I just like this feeling that I get when I'm dancing and when I'm around those who love movement.
mm.
So my first really formal teacher was Soul Train. Every Saturday morning,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Watching these people dance to the latest jams that were, on the radio and trying to dance and move like them and just,
Mm,
really just see the joy of movement of, these young people. So I would say I want to dance like that too. And Mr. Tommy Gomez, rest his soul, um, was teaching Dunham, Catherine Dunham's technique, at the local college here. And he was doing community classes, which I love. Community classes are always free for the most part.
mm,
And of course, one of the girls on the block was taking the dance class, was like, come to this dance class with me. Asked my parents. They said, of course. So here we go, about 10 blocks from the house. We walk, we get there. I didn't change my clothes. I had on my shorts, from the day, t-shirt, whatever, hair was doing whatever. And he's like, come on in. I didn't know I was dancing with a famous dance instructor or performer who danced with the famous Catherine Dunham. I had no clue what lineage I was walking into. And he just treated me and everybody the same. If you knew it, great. If you didn't know it, here's a step. Wasn't, oh, get to the side, let the dancers move. No, it was like, okay, everybody, do what you can do.
mm,
And I would go back, I wasn't consistent with it, but I would go back, I can say from the age of 9 to about the age of 13. I remember going and learning Dunham.
mm,
And one thing about Ms. Dunham is she loved community. She loved for people to reach into the community and pull, people out to dance, to learn how to drum,
mm,
to learn how to, speak, dance. All of these different things were something that she wanted the socialization of dance to really just be like a part of your life.
mm,
So starting with Mr. Gomez, Tommy Gomez, and from there I went to Curie High School. I thought, oh, let me rewind. My grammar school, Guggenheim Elementary, I have to give it up to them because they would have a talent show every month, it seemed. And of course, me and my friends would choreograph on each other and, in someone's basement, and we're going to dance to this. Who's going to lead it this time? It wasn't like this competition. Oh, I'm the best. I'm going to lead. Da, da, da. No, it was the thrill of us dancing together, the thrill of us going to this place called 63rd and Halsted, this area, but we would get our matching shirts. If we
mm.
had of our allowance money, we could put our names on it.
Wow.
It was just this fancy thing that we would do. And at least every month we would be performing some dance.
Mm,
And we had great to me at the time, they sound like they were great singers. We had singers, dancers, people who did poetry, all these different, like, people would write plays, little short, scenarios and whatnot. I have to give it up to my grammar school for putting the love of performance
Mm.
and that whole preparation of community with me and my friends. Because if I had gone to any other grammar school, I don't know if their love of bringing kids together through the arts would have been as strong. My grammar school was definitely strong. And it led me to go to Curie, which was a performing arts high school here in the city. But I thought I was going to be a thespian. I really wanted to be an actress. So I did. I went there, and unfortunately, it was during a time of this is when I was in high school. We actually were, I was a part of the busing um,
Mm.
program. And so I actually had tokens to ride the bus to go to school.
Mm.
And unfortunately, a lot of the Black children or African American children that went, um, we were in the plays, but we were very background in the background. None of us ever got lead roles. None of us ever really got a speaking part, right? We were either the couple or the person in the park or
Mm.
the maid or the shuffle, the butler, whatever. It
Mhm.
was never like these main roles. And I started to be like, well, why am I a theater major? And
Mm.
I was in track at the time. And my track coach had approached me and was like, "Hey, you should dance. You have legs as a for a dancer." And I was like, a 13-year-old, you don't tell a 13-year-old Black you got great legs. Like
Mhm.
back
Mhm.
then, oh my God, wait a minute. No.
Mhm.
So I hid from her and I told her this story. She laughed so much. I hid from her for like 2 years
Mm.
until I saw her perform. And I was like, I was in my junior year by this time. And I'm like, oh my God, is this what she was talking about? Right? I didn't have the bandwidth to understand where she was coming from because you just didn't give compliments back then like that to people.
Mhm.
And I was just like, oh my God, I ran up to her after the show and I said, Miss Dawson, I want to do what you do. And she was like, where have you been? I've been looking for you for 2 years. And I
Wow.
was just like, please excuse me. I misunderstood what you said.
Mm.
And she was like, okay, come to the audition on Saturday and we'll see where you are placed. Well, I've never been on the north side of Chicago. I'm on the south side. I've gone downtown, but I've never went north. And of course, I got lost.
Mm.
And I'm going up the stairs, and she and Joseph Holmes, rest his soul, are coming down the stairs. And they look, she goes, where were you? Once again,
Oh.
where were you? And I was like, I got lost, Miss Thomas was her name then. Miss Thomas, I got lost. And she was like, it's okay. Joseph looked at me. He's like, oh, is this the one you were talking about? And she was, yes, this is her. Go upstairs and get dressed. And I was like, yes, just go upstairs and get dressed. You're in.
Mm.
No audition, no class, no nothing. Just go get ready for Saturday's class and you're in a scholarship student. After class, y'all clean the mirrors, you sweep the floor, mop the floor, then you can go home.
Mm.
And so that's how my formal training, along with Mr. Gomez, started. Both were like just serendipitous. It wasn't anything that I planned. I didn't plan to be in the dance program at Curie High School. Wanted to be a thespian. I was just hanging out with the loving, teenagers on my block who wanted to just, pass on what they had. So it wasn't anything that I'm gonna plan to do this. Dance happened to me.
Yeah.
And ever since that day that I met Joseph and Miss Thomas, is to today, right? So I give reverence to Tommy Gomez, Deidre Dawson, Thomas, and Joseph Holmes. So they were my foundation in dance. And from there, I was an A-League scholarship student and danced with the Joseph Holmes Dance Theater. Joel Hall was my teacher here also in Chicago and others here. And then Ailey, as I mentioned, and then I also danced with the Philadelphia Dance Company, which was kind of like not as much now, but was like this tunnel to Ailey. If you
Mm.
wanted to dance in Ailey, you had to dance with Philadelphia for the most part. Um, and once I danced with Danko, honestly, I didn't have to dance with Ailey because I felt the repertory was just as good. It wasn't a huge company, so you got this one-on-one, peer help. You got the artistic director always in rehearsals. Yeah, so that's kind of how I started. And now I'm in academia. Teaching was another vein that actually just happened to pop up on me. One of my colleagues could not teach his class, and he was like, "Hey, Kim, can you do my jazz one?" And I was just like, "Oh, yeah, fine." And he came back to me, maybe like I thought maybe taught it for two classes. He came back to me and was like, "My students want you to teach." I was like, "Excuse me." He was like, "Yeah, but you know what? Go ahead, take the job because I got another job that doesn't conflicts. So can
Oh,
you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So that's how. So it all really, Ebony, it all
wow.
started like these were not they weren't my plan.
Mm,
Right. The universe was like, okay, she's not waking up to this plan. Let's go ahead and just put these steps in here so that she knows that this is the direction she needs to go.
mm,
And so teaching, that's how teaching started for me. It wasn't like, oh, I want to be a teacher. So it happened.
mm,
Yeah, it happened. And so here I am now, professor of dance, loving teaching in higher ed, but I also love the professional side of dance as well, dance companies and the training. Um,
mm.
that's a big part of my love as well.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your journey. And I mean, there's so many parts in there that I think is important to note, right? Like, even in how you spoke to where you began and where you are, it's so rooted in like Black culture, right? Like
Mm,
paying homage to those who were part of the steps that you took or that, walked alongside you. And the fact that it was community based, it wasn't ego,
mm,
based. It wasn't rooted in that ego piece as a motivator, but it was community. It was folks bringing you along and saying, hey, hang out with me. I want to show you, I want to share this with you.
mhm.
I wonder how it felt for you as you were dancing, like what made you stay in it?
Oh, wow. That's a deep question. What made me, honestly, eh, wow. Wow. I don't know. It's like life.
Hmm.
It's like breath. It's like air. It's like food. What made me stay? I mean, since I've been doing it for forever, it's just a part of who I am. So when I find a community that um I feel I fit or they fit me, I just stay with them because it's like food. It's like, what grocery store, what chain do I go to? Aldi's or is it Trader Joe's? Is it, where
Mm-hmm.
do I fit? Where do I find my people? Those supportive people, right? Because you can be in a dance environment where everyone is just beautiful dancers and there's so much toxicity that you can't stay there.
Yeah.
So where can I find my folks? You're gonna have up and downs, struggles, and all these challenges and whatnot, but still in that, because I still take dance class to this day. I will be a dance student for forever. I will not take dance class. And even within the challenges that I have, I feel community,
Mm.
right? Because I could feel like I'm doing crazy, and somebody come back to, oh, you just ate that, and I'm like, what? I did. Okay, well, that gave me some more energy to keep moving.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know what kept me in there. It, like I said, it's essential to who I am.
Hmm.
I think if I didn't have movement in my life, I would be such a different person.
Mm.
And I've had times when I could not afford dance class. And that was a very depressing time. You know, I had to pull myself up to get my own self to move. Like you need to move, right? Especially during COVID. I think that was a hard time. So I had to give myself classes to keep that motivation going. But
Mm.
yeah, that's a deep, I can't, when you ask me that, it's like I can't dissect that. There's no dissection. It's just who I am.
Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like it's so many, it's so many things and so many parts of you that it just is, and you feel it when it's gone.
Hmm.
But also we have bodies. We like these bodies are meant to move, right? These bodies are meant to connect and to like move things through and receive things and all of this. And so I wonder if there's a piece of this that just is because we are, because this is how our, like, these are our bodies, but in some ways we get disconnected from that
Hmm.
when things like, COVID happens or a trauma happens or, some like an illness where we're maybe unable to connect with our bodies in a way that we might used to connect with it or might feel most restorative to us for
Hmm.
whatever reason. Um, I wonder if you could speak to like the healing pieces of dance, of movement.
I think in order to speak to the healing, I have to speak to the dysfunction first.
Yeah.
Because there are moments in dance where dancers in particular can be very self-critical.
Mm,
And to the point to where your inner critic is ruminating 24/7, even in your dreams sometimes.
mm,
Um, to the point to where uh getting criticism is a part of your day and you expect it. You expect for
mm,
someone to say, you're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, lose weight, your hair is out of order, do this. And this is from concert dance perspective. Um, so not the dysfunction that the discipline gives, the dysfunction of how sometimes people who aren't grounded in themselves are teaching,
mm,
right? And are teaching from a perspective of this flagship of punishment before perfect,
mm,
right? Or the way that things are said and done, and how that feels to the body and the individual.
mm,
There were times when I would just talk so bad to myself. Oh, that was so dumb. How could I make that mistake? Oh, I look so stupid. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Oh, I want to be here. You know, we have to speak to those moments to where we are so like hard on ourselves and not even thinking about what it took for the body just to raise an arm, just to do this, what it
mm,
takes for the body and the nervous system, all of this to come together. But yet, because we made one mistake and because we made, well, there are some mistakes that are not forgivable. Like if you're partnering with someone and okay, you got to be on point with that, right? Because you have someone else's life in your hands.
mm,
But when there is a mistake where you're off count or you step on the wrong foot or, like different things
mm,
like that, sometimes the repercussions are I can say the crime doesn't suit the punishment. right?
Mm.
Um, and internalizing those things sometimes can be displaced in the body. So you might
Mm-hmm.
have an injury. You might not be able to do a certain move or technique. Your hips might lock up, your knees might hurt, your ankles, your back, your neck, your shoulders, they start to hold on to these things,
Mm. Mm.
right? And so because of the patterns that you may have, like say if I'm like doing I'll take ballet. If I'm doing a plie in first and or grand plie, and there's a certain point in that plie that my hip go
Mm.
and I push through it. But that pain is telling me, hey, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not listening because I got to do this.
Mm.
Instead of taking time and saying, excuse me, my hip isn't feeling well right now. I really need to, I need to sit down. Right. There were so many days that I pushed through stuff.
Mm.
My body was telling me, I'm not feeling this. I don't know. We're going to push through this. And it was pain to where I know that I needed to stop.
Mm.
Sometimes there's a little bit of pain because the muscles are being stretched, the tendons may have been stretched too much, something's happening. So speaking to the dysfunction in me, and I'm not saying, I will say that there is dysfunction in the dance field, but as an individual, how I was how I was not mentored into knowing that I didn't have to take that on,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so not having the tools of how to deal with how I was being told that I was wrong or I made a mistake. How I was told, I internalized that. And so that became a part of who I was. So that deep self-critical, almost to the point to where I was bulimic, anorexic, bulimic. I can't remember which one is taking laxative so that when I got weighed, I could, excrete and be 2 pounds lighter.
Mm.
To the point of not, eating crackers and water. It's like, wow, that's self-abuse
Mm.
and it's acceptable, right?
Yeah. And the punishment, right? The external punishment becoming internalized.
Hmm.
Yeah. And not and being almost like out of communication with the body.
Yeah.
Mm.
Out totally. The body was the vehicle, and that was it.
Mm.
Get
Mm.
me to where I gotta go and buy, right?
Yeah.
And if it hurt, okay, dang it, my knee. Oh, it wasn't. Oh no, my knee. Like, I'm so
Mm.
sorry. I hurt. What do I, you know what I mean?
The
It was,
difference
yeah,
is,
it was just like produce, produce, produce.
yeah, an anger
Hmm.
at the knee versus tending to it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to speak to that and build that body to say it wasn't after, it was after I wish I had this mindset when I was performing.
Mm.
Because I was look, I just got to brush my show. I was very, 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 very an exceptional dancer, right?
Mm.
And I love the high that I got from the performance, right? And being able to show and articulate what I've learned um through the choreography and whatnot, and helping choreographers to live their dreams, right? I love that part.
Mm.
Um, but if I was the person that I am now, then oh my God, exceptional wouldn't have been the word. I think that my career would have gone a little further, right?
Mm.
Because there was more self-love and care, right? Instead of dispersing it out here and people pleasing and doing this and
Mm.
taking all that energy on the outside, and the only energy coming in was that energy of critical, self-awareness.
Mm.
So yeah, building that if I could do it again, that community that I had as a child and how people reinforced love and if you messed up, it was laughter. It wasn't like this punitive thing. It was like, "Oh, you'll get it. It's okay. Let's start over. This
Mm,
is the step." So clarity, and I say this now, clarity versus confidence.
mm,
When I was performing, I had to build that confidence. I didn't think about the clarity. Like, if you have the steps, if you know exactly what you're doing, if you know exactly who you are, if you approach this with a clear sense of everything, there's no reason that there has to be this negative self-talk.
mhm,
But I'm trying to build confidence. So everything that you say to me, I'm taking it in. I'm taking it in. How can I be better than what they're saying? How can I do better than this? How can my esteem be, da 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 da?
mhm,
But now when I'm in class and I feel that shrinking happening, oh God, I'm not gonna get that step. I just stop and I watch. And the clarity comes,
mm,
not the anxiousness of getting it wrong.
mm.
But the clarity of, I see it. I see you now. I said, oh my God, I'm not going to get it right.
So, I mean, if I could throw something in there though, right, before we
Mhm.
get to the healing piece, because this is so, you're right, 100%. This is important to speak to first because these are the interrupters to the healing. Like you could, just as you were saying, you could have someone who is a wonderful, amazing dancer, but if they're in a toxic environment, and they don't in addition have what you're speaking to, right, this clarity, they have this inner critic, they have the external criticism, it doesn't mean much fully that they're moving because they may not be experiencing healing, meaning it doesn't naturally, it's not a one for one. But then and so then it makes me think of so much of what you were describing that for folks encounter with the environment within the inner self
Mhm.
is reflective of trauma.
Mm.
And it's reflective of, just thinking about, survivors of sexual violence who and child sexual abuse, thinking about the ways in which that inner critic, that judgment and parenting, right? All of these inner that the daunting inner voices that can last for days and days and months because of a mistake or because of um the ways that you don't know, maybe you haven't experienced how something is done, but you're now in a position where you've got to figure it out. um and this piece around um how do you gain that clarity in
Right.
that space, right? How do you navigate the voices that are very loud? How do you turn that volume down so that you can access something like dance or like, different forms of movement for
Mhm.
healing, to for you to feel that within your body, especially when your body has been the site of harm. I
Yes.
wonder if you could, I don't, yeah, I wonder where that takes you.
Well, it took me to, like I said, after I performed is when the healing began
Mm.
because the voices were still there, right? You said days and days and it's years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
I had one friend of mine, and I can't disclose,
Of
but it was
course.
a part of my PhD research and in the data. And she's like, I'm 50 years old and I'm still not comfortable in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I've just got to the place where I'm feeling a little bit comfortable,
Mm.
but I'm 50 years old. So it's
Yeah.
years of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm trying to see how to say this. There's this European body set, right, of the long lines and the slender waist and the small buttocks and blah 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 that we strive for in dance, right? This line of the foot that points like this and all this other stuff that we have as a critique of what's a good dancer. And as an African American woman, I have a butt. Well, I used to, like estrogen has done something now, collagen, that
Mm,
post-menopause, right? But before, you know, I used to cover it up.
mm-hmm,
I make sure I
mm-hmm.
tie a sweatshirt on while I'm in class.
Yeah.
Self-hatred. I mean, to the point, not even knowing that that was self-hatred, but
Mm,
something that this part of my body did not fit into this paradigm.
mm.
And so I'm going to cover it up, right? I wish I had that butt now. But, so it's like that point of, wow, to
Mm,
deny myself, um, to deny my body, to cut off a part of my body.
mm.
Not even thinking what's that doing to me psychologically.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the physical and then what rhetoric may happen if I take this off,
Mm-hmm.
sweatshirt off and show my full body.
Mm-hmm.
Urban Bush women do a piece called Bati Moves, and they start off with their butts to the audience, right?
Mm.
And letting you know we embrace every part of our body, every curve,
Mm.
every dent, every dimple, you know.
Yeah.
It was interesting, but as a young woman, even going in, like, because I started formally training later, I was a junior in high school, so I was 16 or 17. I had already developed. And so, there's this thing about having breast
Mm.
as a dancer, right? And there was so many, and I'm just gonna put it out there. There were so many white women that told me that I would not become a dancer
Mm.
because of my physique. Right? They're like, oh, you're overdeveloped. Your thighs are thick, your butt is high on your back, you got breasts. Like, you will definitely not be a ballet dancer,
Mm.
but you could probably do modern, which okay, I didn't even prescribe to this. I didn't even say what type of dance I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Your
Dance.
choices were automatically removed
Yes.
by this imposed idea.
Yeah, of what dancers should look like.
Yeah.
You're muscular, right? And so cutting ballet out, I turned to modern, right?
Mm.
And
Mm.
still feeling, what would that be, self-conscious about my body. There was this one dancer called Donna Wood who danced with Alvin Ailey. And Alvin created a dance called Cry for Judith Jamison and for all mothers, right? And it's 3 sections, long dance. I think it's like 16 minutes, but it's a beautiful dance.
Mm.
And I love Judith in it, and I love Donna in it. And the reason why I love both of these women is because they were developed women. They
Mm.
looked like the body of a Black woman. And I
Mm.
was like, I can do this now. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I hadn't seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't something that I could totally embrace until I saw them. So they helped me through. The negative self-talk was still there, and
Mm-hmm.
the ideologies from the outside trying to pour in on what my body should look like was still there. The harm and the self-harm that I did to my body happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I really call it self-violence, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because, who could have known? Luckily, I was spared. I didn't develop any type of, disease or terminal illness from doing these things to my body.
Mm.
Um, So yeah, I have to put that out there, that imposed restrictions.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
then so then when we think about how it feels to for dance to heal, I have so many questions for you, right? But just staying on that one for a moment before I get
Mhm.
to the other ones, right? But when we think about the healing piece now, right? Especially thinking about trauma survivors and the way, like, I believe that trauma is universal in one way or another. It is part of the air we breathe. It's part of what we get by, being in relationship to one another in many ways and witnessing things that maybe we weren't in the same place of, but we feel it, and we feel the harm. Um, and I say this especially as a Black person, right? Witnessing the harm of other Black people and seeing it on TV or plastered on you feel less safe. You feel your life is at threat.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
is a traumatic thing, right? Witnessing.
Yes.
Um, but then also going back to the idea of survivors who are navigating, survivorship in the moment, parenting, all of these different things that are going on at once. In general, when you think about, and I ask this because it's so common to disconnect from your body,
Mhm.
and I do hope that folks get a sense of like what healing what healing benefits dance can offer.
Hmm.
And I wonder what you would share with someone who's like wondering, how do I start connecting with my body again? What are the benefits of dance and even moving this body that I have felt so disconnected from, that reminds me of my harm? What would you encourage or tell them?
Another deep question. Um, I would say, because I'm not a therapist, right? But I can say that dance is therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at indigenous cultures and we look at African diasporic cultures in particular, movement is a part of life.
Mm.
Healing is a part of life. You have the people, the Dan people, I think, Kun, Kun, the Kun people, Kun. And they will dance for 12, 24, 48 hours. And the dancers were the seers.
Mm.
And they would see the infliction or the psychiatric or the physical, whatever was ailing this person, they would see it in different ways. And they would just dance around this person until that, like if there was a dark shadow or spots or whatever, they would dance until this was removed. Right?
Mm.
We're talking about dancing, they do the ecstatic dance now, maybe for 2, 3 hours. We're talking about 3 and 4 days.
Mm.
People are just moving in these trances of moving. So it has always been a modality of movement. Healing has always been a modality of the community in the African diaspora and other indigenous cultures, right? Where they were the healers.
Mm.
The movers were the healers. And so when we fast forward to, and I'm not fast forwarding because this is still happening today.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when we bring it over into this box of classes, right, and moving, uh, you can't do that in an hour and a half. You can try.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it becomes therapeutic or cathartic, because you can let go of something, you can release
Mm.
something. But honestly, to really get this healing, or honestly, what's really happening is like you're circulating your blood. You're allowing the oxygen to come in to the lungs. You're allowing the breath to flow through the body. You allow all these different things to happen. This is why You got to move because the blood's got to continue to flow. The
Mm,
oxygen's got to continue to, get in there, right?
mm,
And so that's what happens. That's what the endorphins start, the serotonin
mm,
relates, right? So that's the physical part of it, that you get these chemicals that help to heal, physically heal the body. The mental and emotional, again, I can't really speak to no one else's experience but mine, right?
mhm,
And what happens for me is it just transitions me into another space.
mhm,
So I would have to bring it to this idea of somatics,
mhm, mhm,
regulating your nervous system is vitally important to me as far as my healing. And that's what I would say for in place of the ecstatic dancing and the coon people with their healing modality, knowing that you want a quickness to happen, regulate.
mm.
As they say back in the day, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Check yourself
Yes.
before you wreck yourself. And you really have to go internal and do those breaths and feel that flow of energy coming through the spine and
Mm,
throughout the whole body when you are like hyperventilating or feeling anxious or not knowing what's going to happen next and not feeling in your body,
yeah.
right? That disassociation. Even though I was a professional dancer, I was using my body. I was never in my body,
Mm,
right? There's a
yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
Oh, as an older person, I'm in my body.
Mm,
And it's been through African diasporic dancing or dance movement that has helped me, feeling my feet on the ground, feeling the rhythms from the live drums. Oh my God. There is nothing like live music, and you talk
mm,
about djembe and the doom doom and all of these different the kungas that come in, and you just feel that bass, hear that tone. You're just like, wow. And sometimes I'll get to class early so I can just lay on the floor and
mm.
just have the drums just vibrate every cell in my body,
Yes.
just to feel that vibration like, oh my God, there's nothing like it. That's why they took the drums away with this enslavement. You know what I mean? Back in
Healing
the
part. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm just like, the transatlantic enslavement of people of African descent. Like the drums are powerful.
Yeah.
They're
I mean,
beyond
and even
powerful.
if like thinking about the vibration itself
Oh my
and
goodness.
like the ways that our bodies, when we feel that vibration, so much healing can happen. There's this thing called polyvagal theory or polyvagal therapy. And the idea that we can activate our polyvagal nerve, which is right back here,
Mhm.
but that it can be activated with sound, with vibrations, with singing, with humming. And
Mhm.
I often tell the story of my great grandmother who I grew up with for a portion of my childhood, who she would just be humming all the time. And I didn't get why she was humming. And then, years later, having my first child and dealing with a tantrum, being overstimulated and overwhelmed, I started humming. And I realized that was part of my inheritance from her. This idea that I could calm my nervous system through vibration.
Yes, yes.
And so I think we underrate or don't recognize how much we are in the vibe, like we feel the vibes of the world, right? But that vibration that is soothing to our nervous system and can help us self-regulate is huge, especially when you're activated often.
And that's all day,
Yeah.
depending on where you live. Yeah.
Where you live and what you're dealing with in your head, what you're dealing with
Mhm.
in your body, what is showing up for you. And I wonder if a small start for folks could be engaging some level of vibration,
Yeah.
humming, or being
Mm.
with a drum or something.
Yes. That is such a great recommendation because a lot of people get caught up on the word dance because
Mm,
we're taking dance from the people, right? This performer. I'm not a performer. I'm not a dancer. I can, baby, you've been dancing all your life. If you can like tap your, if you could, if you could, you're
uh-huh.
dancing. And it ain't even got to be on beat, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've regulated all these people away from this modality because we're saying, oh, you ain't got no rhythm, you ain't got no beat, you ain't got no, right? It's a matter of just, hey, just feeling, just being in the groove. You ain't even got to be on the you can be in the pocket or you can be out of the pocket.
Hmm.
But move your body and
Yeah.
that vibration, if you even if it's just, just a little bit, just a sway.
Hmm.
No, it ain't got to be nothing huge. Give the dance back to the people.
Yes.
Not to reference Ailey again, but to reference him again. The dance is from the people,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm, that's
and
huge.
it belongs to the people. We've
Hmm.
taken it and we've created this picture, Mona Lisa, uh, about life, but it's so much more than what you see a performance happening. And we pay huge Hamilton, come on now. Like we pay all this money to see what we already are,
Yes.
and it's crazy how this spectatorship has become like, oh, I've gone to the opera, I've gone to the ballet, and it's just like, but you're already paying for who you are.
Mm.
That information came from you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now the
Yeah.
creativity, of course, is all on the artist, but the idea that generated it comes from life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't set my thing is I love art. I love any type of art, performing, visual, right? Um, but don't separate the people from it.
That's right.
Don't
And
separate.
yeah. And the idea that you don't and almost like reclaiming and having permission. I feel like there's something about what you're saying that is entirely necessary for so many folks to feel like they have permission to see themselves as having access, right? It's just like when I might invite somebody to draw something, they're like, I don't know, I'm not an artist like that. And I totally get that. And my response to them is this is not about art as product, right?
Right.
It's about process.
Yeah,
And sometimes I think there's a sense that there's no access to movement or to dance or to art as process in your individual life because
exactly.
this is the body we carry and we can move in so many ways paying no entry fee for that. You know what I,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm hearing you speak to. um I would love for you to speak a little bit to your research and share with folks what you were diving into.
Yeah, so my research started from a personal, really from a personal motive. Um, I went to a PWI for undergrad, and I was a non-traditional student because I had performed in two major dance companies here in the United States and went to school for dance. Um, and had already done what most of the people who were graduating for college wanted to do, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of in reverse, and nobody really had no type of strategic plan for me. I didn't have a strategic plan. Going in, okay, I did great projects. Some classes I had difficulty with. Um, but upon graduating with my BA. I'm like, day after graduation,
Mm.
what am I to do? Right? Like Scooby-Doo, what am I gonna do?
That
So
was good.
I'm like, what am I gonna do? So for 6 months, I'm like letting people know that I have my BA.
Mm.
Well, do you want to dance again, Kim? Not really. I'm a single parent now.
Mm.
No, I don't want to dance again. I want to go on tour because who's gonna. So
Mm.
dancing performance was out. But do you want to admin? That means that there weren't any major dance companies where I was living. So I was kind of in this conundrum of like, well, what's next? And so then I took a job outside of the dance field.
Mm.
Um, so I'm like, upon doing this, I had to give up like this love of dance. And that's another time when I came outside of myself again, right?
Mm.
So ask me a question again, because some reason I got off.
No, that's
It's
okay.
in
Just
brain.
I wonder if you can share like your like the research that
Research
you.
why I did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back, right, that emptiness after graduating,
Mm.
I didn't want anyone else to feel that.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much work, projects, performances, papers, things that students have to do, examinations that are so stressful, but it's busy work
Mm.
because what are we going to do once we graduate? And there's no stage, free, costume maker, free, artistic development, free,
Mm.
or that you're paying for. I'm sorry, it's not free.
Mhm.
Your tuition pays for this,
Mhm.
right? So all of these things, these access to all of these pro productivity or production and performance modalities are gone.
Mm.
Once you graduate, someone may bring you back as a guest artist. Someone may bring you in to do costumes if you like doing costumes or lighting or something like that. But we're talking about walking out into your next career or your path. And that wasn't there.
Mm.
And so I gave thought to what does it take for us to prepare undergraduates, particularly from historically disadvantaged backgrounds?
Mm.
What can we do in order, once they graduate with their BA, so that they're not feeling as if the bridge is closed? How do
Mm.
we get them from post-graduation to this other side of this bridge and have them feeling successful, fulfilled, and accomplished, right? Because graduation is something to celebrate, not something to go like, oh God, I've done this, now what?
Mm.
And that's how I felt. And so my research looks at culturally relevant pedagogy and how people applied or didn't apply it, right? And it also looks at employability, this idea of people having a set of skills that make them employable.
Mhm.
And when I started it, I started with this deficit idea of this happened to me and it happened to so many other dancers. After graduation, we're unemployed,
Mm.
right? There was no job waiting for us. There was no, if you wanted to do a master's, great. If you wanted to, sign up for school again, that definitely was an option. But some of us wanted to see where it would go. I know that I did, and I'd already done the performance part. So, but I even saw ones who wanted the performance part weren't getting the performance part,
Mm.
right? And
Mm.
so it's like, what is missing?
Mm.
So I set out to find out, but I was looking from a deficit standpoint. Through the data, which was from 13 participants, plus their schools and websites, I looked into those as well. I started to see that there's this underlying underpinning of care and
Mm.
community. So it's not this success that Oh, when you graduate, you're going to walk into this company. No, it's about this set of knowing who you are,
Mm.
identity, and it's sectional,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So where if you're queer, if you are cisgendered, if you're fluid, if you're black, if you're indigenous, if you what poor,
Mm-hmm.
social economic, low social, what is your intersection of that cross, right? So knowing yourself, really knowing all points of you and how you are in different spaces and places. One. Two, knowing your community.
Mm.
So, not just for networking, but for support.
Yeah.
And how does your name come up when you're not there type of ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
who's bringing you into the room with them and other places and special places? Community. Those two things, the identity and community, and then how we approach it. So are we approaching it with care?
Mm.
Are we approaching it with kindness? Are we approaching this idea of success? Oh, they got a six-figure job. Well, is that really, are they happy?
Mm. So then can you define, or how do you define care? Because I think it's
Wow.
such a big idea that folks don't always know when they're seeking it either, what that is, what it looks like.
Yeah, because it kind of goes unnamed, right? It
Yes.
does. It really goes unnamed. It's really implicit. So it really depends on, like, I looked at occupational organizational citizenship behavior.
Mm.
And what that is like people just giving, not because they're going to get something.
Mm.
They're giving because they want the organization to run well,
Mm.
right? They're giving because they want this person or their peer to do well. They're giving because it's about them, but it's about this bigger picture.
Mm.
Well, if I
Mm.
could, I can probably coin my neighborhood as having OCB, right? Because everybody in the neighborhood was like, here, 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 here,
Mm.
right? It wasn't about, oh, if I give this to you, then you have to give this back to me. No, it was just about if I give this to you, then that's going to make you a better dancer. That's going to make you happy. And then turn saying you happy, I'm happy. So with the research, I saw that a lot of professors and administrators were going outside of their duties to make and help students succeed.
Mm.
They were supporting in ways that their pay scale did not support. But
Mm.
it wasn't about, oh, well, I'm doing this because, and I don't even get paid for it. That wasn't a part of it. It was just like, hey, the student is a great student. I know that they're going to do well in life. They need these keys. And so I'm going to stay after, my work hours and work on this choreography with them. Or I'm going to stay and help them work on this, production that they're doing. Or I'm going to stay after hours. And it's just there.
Yeah.
So it's a care that's multiplied with um this idea of I just want you to do good. I just want you to be well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
not
that's
transactional.
not at
Not,
all.
it's not capitalistic.
No.
It's not rooted in the idea that oftentimes we think about hustle culture and the idea that yes, true and valid, and sometimes in what I'm hearing you speak to, care requires time, not like I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. I don't have time for you. It's more like I can be here. I will take the time. I will commit to it. And the word that kept coming to me was investing in the person. But then I
Mhm.
think even that is a monetary transactional capitalist
Right. Capital
language,
gain.
right?
Yeah.
Where maybe the term is just care.
Yeah.
And so when folks are even seeking care, being able to identify some of the ways that folks are engaging with them as like not transactional. Are folks inclusive of their identities? Are folks, really asking them about what they need and really putting that effort towards them? Are those some of the things you found that make a difference?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
and that really helped me, like graduating with a PhD now, still not having kind of like where I was with my BA.
Mm,
But now I'm like, I have my community, I have
mm,
support. I have people that are just that are naming my name. Like I was asked to do a project. Like, who gave you my name? Like so and so. And do you want it? I'm like, of course, I'll do it, right? So it's like being, I think that the word is being open,
mm,
um, and not being so tunnel vision as to what can happen after,
mm,
right? Now, if you want to be a doctor or brain surgeon, yes, there's a certain role that you need to take,
mhm,
right? Med school right after, not med school, if you want to do some type of baccalaureate after you graduate from your undergrad and then to med school and then into whatever residency you want to do, um, can happen. It's steps, right?
mhm,
Even
mhm,
with that, there may be some flow and ebb with it as well. But with artists in particular, is nonlinear, right? Our lives are very cyclical. And sometimes it's not even the circle. Sometimes it's jagged edges and
yeah.
cliffs. Um,
Mm,
have to stay open to what we call success.
yeah.
Success is, yes, okay, so I just booked a 6 month um uh workshop seminar type of project. Yes, that's successful, but it's not
Mm,
sustainable,
mm,
right? Because in 6 months is going to end. So how
mm,
do we become sustainable in this idea of being an artist?
mm,
Is that you keep developing yourself.
yeah.
That's your sustainability. It's not the next gig that you get that you sustain because guess what? You might not get another gig. Then who are you?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this relates so much to what like I'm seeing the theme, right? There's so much about community
Hmm.
and even in like your research rolled back to it started in one place and then the findings went back to where you started, where in terms of your story, right? Which is community and care. And you paint this picture so beautifully as when we were first starting to speak about this, about everybody who had you in mind. And it didn't seem like a whole lot of effort. It was just like, come on, right? And so that as being essential, community, care, identity. And then I go back to dance and movement and that everybody it has access to this.
Mm.
Everybody has a natural born right to this.
Yes,
And that also is a right to your body.
yes.
And for so many people, that's not the message communicated. And I'm really hoping that folks listening receive that and also play with that idea, right? If it's a brand new idea that you've never heard or you haven't thought of or you haven't known what to do with it, you know, play with it. See
Mhm.
what shows up for you. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a month, but it's there for you to consider. Kim, I wonder if there was a practice that you think would be a good place for maybe folks to begin movement, to get them into it, even if it's small. What would you say that might be?
Um, I mean, movement is happening all around us, honestly. So, I mean, there's several places to begin. If you want to do formal, I would say check out the studio first. See who's teaching, how they're teaching, see what the students act like. right? Just see if you can observe a class
Mm-hmm.
in your neighborhood, dance studio, park district.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you want to try that modality. But then you also have a lot of franchise Pilates places, yoga,
Mm-hmm.
different modalities like that are good, just as long as you are doing something with the body. And I would say the tenets for seeing if this is a place that fits, you feel it. Your nervous system, give your nervous system a try. Your nervous
Mm.
system will let you know if you want to be in there. Seriously, from how you're greeted when you walk through the door,
Yeah.
right? For again, how are the other people in the space, right? So the tenants would be, how do you feel first?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's going on in the environment?
Mm.
And then looking at who's teaching, how are they expressing themselves, how are they talking to to the students, how are they teaching the class, because there could be some great teachers, as Joe Myers Brown would say from Philadanco. They could be great teachers, but if they teach them for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
because the students no good. Like, we're not teaching to see you perform in front of
Mm-hmm.
the mirror. How
Mm-hmm.
are you giving to those students?
Yeah.
What are you giving to those students?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go that route, but the easiest peasiest is to just be at home, turn on some music,
Mm.
and just move. And that old slogan of dance like nobody's watching. I don't care. Dance like somebody's watching. Dance. You know what I mean? Just move, move, move. Whatever type of modality of music that you like, be it, like I said, my family played all kind of music when I was growing up. Pick a song. And if you don't have a song, just like your grandma did, hum.
Yes. Yeah.
Just feel yourself in your body. But also, I think one another good modality is just breathing.
Yes. Yeah.
How far and how long can you hold your breath? How long can you
Mm.
let the breath out? Right? How
Mm.
long can you hold the breath in? How long can you breathe? Just playing with that. That's movement in itself.
Yes.
That's movement of the internal organs. You're giving your internal organs a massage.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's so many ways to get started. Go outside and just sway with the trees. Feel the breeze against your skin. Breathe in, feel the sun beaming down on you. Like just be in the elements of nature. If you're by the beach, go out there and run in the water and come back out. And it's like
Yeah.
play,
Yeah. Play.
play, bring play back. And we did it so well as children. But for
Yes.
some reason, we get into our early adulthood and, oh, I don't do that anymore. Well, then that's when all the onset diseases start up too.
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
not moving.
I mean, I appreciate this invitation for folks to play, to reconnect with that. So much so, like, that it can be hard to play, but it's worth trying hard things and
Mhm.
redefining what that even looks like to you now. I really love like the going outside and like just, paying attention to like the wind across. That's movement, that is play, and that the breath moving through the body is dance, it's movement. And so um I think for folks who want to start at different levels of engagement, you've just laid out so many ways that they can do that and grow that and play with it and see where the next one leads. um I'm wondering if there are any resources, books, videos, anything that you would invite folks who um just want to be introduced to movement or dance as something that they can engage with for their healing or therapeutic. What would you Where would you send them?
Oh, that's interesting. I think my Brenda Dixon Gotcho for real. if you really want to know like the history of the African presence in
Mm,
dance, is a beautiful place to start with her. Um, John Peppering, you have all of these Black scholars, Glory Scott, Catherine Dunham,
mm,
you know, for books of that, and I'm being biased. Those are people that I read,
yeah,
and you know what I mean.
yeah.
History, dance. I mean, now these, oh my God, we had to go to the library and look things up, right? The Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah.
Right now, all you have to do is Google,
Hmm.
right? You just really just Google YouTube, right? That I ain't mad at TikTok with the people doing TikTok dances. I learned a TikTok dance. It's good for
Oh,
your brain, right? Um, it's just really common things for me, really like um videos. I mean, you can run the gamut. You can watch dance videos of William Forsythe to, Deeply Rooted here in Chicago, to, the Royal Academy. It's what I would say, pay attention to what you really like and go for it. So like right now I'm rereading the Four Agreements. What
mm,
does that have to do with dance? A lot. Being your authentic self,
mm,
knowing when to speak and when not to speak, right? Um, just falling into place. And at the same time, I'm also reading Octavia Butler. So
mm. Which book? Which book?
the Sword, the Peril.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think that's or the Talents.
Oh, okay. The second one. Yeah.
Yeah, second one. Yeah, I've read the first one, so the second one, the Talents. And I had to put it down actually because it was very
Yeah. It's
prophetic.
real. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I had to put it down for a minute. So those are the two books that I'm reading now. But videos, yeah.
I mean, all of this is really amazing and helpful, right? Because for folks who are like, "Hey, I want to dig deeper," now they have all these different resources that they can connect with. And I, as always, I'm going to link for folks in the bios directly to these resources so that folks can check it out for themselves and just kind of see.
Yeah.
Um, I got two more questions for you.
Okay.
One is, uh, when you think about care providers, folks who are providing care,
Mm.
what is one thing that you have learned from personal life, from your research, from your work? What is one thing you want to invite them to consider or to practice?
Mm. Okay, self-regulation keeps popping up.
Mm,
So taking care of yourself first.
yeah.
Um, if you can't take time to meditate 5 to 10 minutes a day, 20 if you have it, or just sitting in silence, um, not ruminating, but just, observing, um, doing nice things for yourself,
Mm,
um, and having barriers, having boundaries.
mhm,
Like you have to have boundaries because when you're caring for someone else, you know their abilities, you know where their limits are. But sometimes when that person really may need you, may be a time that you're depleted. So
mm,
you have to make sure that you refill your cup. And whatever modality you have to use to do that, do that as long as you're not doing harm to yourself or others. So, because you have to be present when you're a caregiver.
yeah.
You have to be present and you can't be thinking about, oh, I didn't do my bills. I didn't do that. I didn't try to take care of everything that you can and set aside that time. So if it's getting up 2 hours early so that you have a good breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
that you have time to meditate and journal, or you have time to take a walk around the block for you.
Mm-hmm.
Be present when you are giving the care to others. I think is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that continues to come up, making sure to carve out the time for connecting with yourself,
Mm.
for doing any of the things that we've talked about, which really, again, apply to everyone, you know, taking something from here, from what works for you. And if you don't know what works for you yet, there's so many resources to explore what that might be to help yourself calm your nervous system, to be here, be present,
Yes.
and be regulated. So thank you for sharing that. My last question is there anything that maybe I didn't ask that your heart really feels, needs voice or needs space?
I, I think I don't know if I answered the question clearly. Hold on. Oh, okay, there's the body. I've been sitting too long. Okay. If I answered it clearly enough to this healing idea for people who have experienced sexual violence,
Mm,
um, and knowing how to forgive the body
mm,
or heal the body. And again, I'm saying I'm no therapist, but I did experience sexual violence and I didn't know it at the time,
mm,
right? And I want people to know that that can happen to where and it was a doctor, it was a training to become a doctor, a chiropractor. And as a young dancer, hey, you want to, it's not free, but it's low cost health.
mm,
And you're putting your faith in what's the word? You just feel like you'll be secure with
mm,
these people and you're okay, you're putting your life in their hands pretty much. And I was molested and I did not know it. And he had brought an associate in the room to watch.
mm,
And that, I think, in the back of my mind was kind of like, okay, that's weird.
mm,
But because I'm not going to judge him or say, oh, I know more about what you're doing
mm,
than
mhm,
you do, right? Why are you bringing this person in this room? Um, I was that kind of took me back a little bit, but I was like, it's the doctor. You don't have the wherewithal to know what he should and should not do.
mm,
As a young person, I was like 19.
mm,
So, and I think about it. I just thought it was common. Now, this didn't hit me until as I'm like a mother. So
mm.
we're talking about almost 15 years later that, oh my God,
Yeah.
I was molested. I was actually, oh, I was so freaking angry.
Mm,
And every time I came back home to Chicago, when I had to go past that area, I would cringe.
yeah.
I would avoid the area as much as possible as a middle-aged adult. Now as an elder, if it's torn, the neighborhood is torn down, I would try to find him,
Mm,
try to find this person now. But as a young adult, I was embarrassed once I really like not as as the midlife adult. I was embarrassed once I really realized what it was, but
mm,
it also made me hyper vigilant for my daughter
yeah.
to
Mm,
tell her when she's in places of authority, if there's something that feels off with the doctor, ask for a female nurse to come in. If that feels weird, then leave
mhm, mhm,
leave. If you have one just inkling feeling, your nervous system is telling you, your intuition is saying something ain't right, leave. And you ain't got to justify it. You ain't got to explain it. You just go.
Yep.
Right? And so to answer that healing part, it just took work. It just took me it took years. It
Mm-hmm.
took time. It took time. Um, and that embarrassment slowly felt away when I understood that I wasn't in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling of being taken advantage of, that one was kind of a hard one because this is someone I trusted. So you misused your power. So now I'm just saying karma,
Mm.
right? Because you took an oath not to do any harm
Yeah.
and you did harm. So I'm just saying that life will reveal what it has. And I'm sure that I'm not the only person.
No, you're not.
You know,
Unfortunately, right?
if you were bold enough to do that with me in your office, in the workspace, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that healing took a long time. And it pisses me off because there are people out there that are still doing it. Right? That's my assumption. And I don't think I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say to people, as I would tell my daughter, if it don't feel right, you don't have to justify why you want to leave. You don't have to say anything. Just get your purse, get your bag, backpack, whatever you got, your belongings, and leave.
Yeah.
As soon as your nervous system says something, your intuition or your gut, your body will tell you, because this is places where we store our stresses. Once we don't listen, right, the shoulders start to nut up, or we come
Yes.
forward to cover our heart or
Yeah.
our internal organs. We fold in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all these different things start to happen to us. We turn inward
Mm-hmm.
to hide those things that, when we're violated. So dance in particularly, I didn't turn to dance to heal from that.
Mm-hmm.
Time healed it. Time healed that part. Maturity and understanding healed that. Uh, spiritual practices healed that. Um, breathing, meditation healed that part.
Mm-hmm.
Dancing was more of I never danced to say, I'm going to get this out of my body. I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that because I didn't know it existed. And
Mm-hmm.
here I was the dancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's that reclaiming of that African diasporic tradition, reclaiming that and saying this is a part of a healing modality for me now. Now, if there's some residuals left over from that incident, yeah, and I'm still a little angry, so still a little angry. So I can dance that out now,
Mm-hmm.
and just try to make a community uh as today more aware of the things that you can do if you're in that position of making that choice and you have the safety to go.
Yeah.
Because if I had someone tell me, when you feel unsafe, you have the permission. You don't have to wait for somebody of authority figure to say, oh yes, you can leave now.
Yeah.
You're the authority.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, first, just I honor that you are sharing your experience, and there are never enough words to convey that nobody should have to be going through any of this, right? And at the same time, you spoke to it very clearly. This is something that happens where people in power, because sexual violence is all about power.
Yeah.
right? Like use their power over. And what the person who is left to pick up those pieces tends to be the person who was harmed.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when the person is a medical provider,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we talk enough about it and about the harm that happens there and the sexual violence that happens there. Because a lot of times, just like all other forms of it, we like to look away and
Mm-hmm.
not recognize that. So I appreciate you sharing that because there are so many people out there who had the same question of like, they know better. They're the doctor. Maybe this is supposed to happen. They're doing the right thing, but your invitation to listen to yourself, to follow what you know, and hopefully folks listening take the permission that you're speaking to and take it for themselves as well. Because it's hard when maybe you've never been given permission to say no to somebody in authority.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that you're speaking to folks and saying you have every right to because you are the authority 100%.
Mm-hmm. You are. Take agency and be like, I just don't feel right about this. I'm going to go
Yeah.
with
And
another
follow.
provider. And the predator knows. As soon as you are awake, they know.
Mm,
And it's like, okay, well, I'm not, because I've been in other situations as a young person where things could have happened, but I was aware of it
mm,
because they were the family members or friends or people in the community, mostly men. And they would approach me and I would look at them and say, my dad would kill you.
mm,
My dad would kill you.
mm,
So don't even try it, right? I knew that agency because my mom drilled it in me and my sister because
mm,
she grew up in the South during the 40s and the 50s. And we won't even go into her stories, but they were horrific.
mm,
And she drilled into me and my sisters, do not let anyone corner you. Do not go over to someone's house, when their parents aren't home.
mm,
Just that whole like to be safe. If someone approaches you, you talk to them very sternly and let them know what the consequences are.
mm,
And if they want to proceed, then they got to deal with that. But you fight like hell,
mm.
right? So she put that into us because she didn't want us to deal with that. So, and this is a little girl. This is not, I'm not me.
Yeah.
I'm 7, 9, 11.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
your mother had to prepare you to know that this was going to come.
yes.
And then out of that, you had to even face it and confront all of these people. Like
Mhm.
one is too much, right? But you're talking about multiple people,
Oh yeah.
right? And then you get to this medical appointment
And I didn't know.
and you didn't know. And that's why we have to talk more about these things because it's happening in so much silence and
Mhm.
folks don't know. And they're not alone in this.
No, they're not. They're
Mm.
not.
I want to say I never know where any of these are going to go. And I'm grateful for not knowing what's going to be the through line to all of these conversations, but what I lean on and what I trust are the people on the other end and their like wisdom and kindness and love and heart. And I know that folks listening are going to hear and feel all of that from you and are going to take away so much of how they can connect, so much of feeling connected with you and in community with you, because that there is so much isolation
Mhm.
and there is so much silence and there is so much shame.
Yeah.
And to be able to know that you exist and that we can have this conversation and they can listen in on it and they can take something from it just continues to build the community. So thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad to chat with you. It's a gift to me, I'll tell you.
Yes,
Um,
welcome too. Yes.
and like I always say, let's see what blooms.
Yes. Let's see what.
There was a lot shared today, and I want to encourage folks listening to connect with what resonated with you most. Consider one practice you can take from here and move into learning more about or even practicing if it feels appropriate to do so. If you would like to support the work of Cactus and Bloom to bring you these type of conversations and to do culture change work that builds skills, creates awareness, and improves equitable care for survivors of childhood sexual abuse and sexual violence in adulthood, consider a donation. Your contribution can make a world of difference. And together, let's see what blooms.